You know, we've all been told to fight our anxiety, right? To push it down, to wrestle it, to beat it. But what if that fight, what if the fight itself is actually the trap? Let's explore a totally different way to look at this. You know that feeling. I mean, you really know it. Maybe you're about to give a big presentation and your heart just starts pounding out of your chest. Or you're walking into a party and your mind just starts screaming, they're all judging you. They all think you're an idiot. You try to push the thoughts away, to argue with them, but it just feels like you're sinking. Welcome to Smiling Cottage, and the reason I'm sharing this today is because so many of us are caught in that exact same struggle. We've been taught our whole lives that anxiety is the enemy. It's a problem to be solved, a monster to be slain. But what if that's just completely, fundamentally wrong? This right here, this is the perfect metaphor for it, isn't it? A constant, exhausting tug of war. You're on one side, digging your heels in, pulling with every ounce of strength you have. Anxiety's on the other side. And the craziest part is, the harder you pull, the more it digs in, and the tighter that knot in the middle gets. You're left totally drained, frustrated, and you haven't gained an inch. The struggle itself is what's keeping you stuck. And what's wild is that this isn't just a vague feeling. It's a mechanical process. Think of it like 3 engines all firing at once, pulling you down. First, your brain's threat scanner goes into overdrive. Then, your body gets the signal and floods you with stress. And finally, the real kicker, your mind starts believing that every single anxious thought is the absolute truth. These 3 things spinning together, that's the anxiety death spiral. This quote from Viktor Frankl, man, it just hits so hard. It signals this massive shift in how we have to look at this. The game isn't about trying to eliminate the feeling of anxiety. That's impossible. The real freedom lies in choosing our attitude towards it. And that right there, that's where everything begins to change. So this brings us to the first huge pivot in our thinking, reframing what anxiety even is. What if it isn't the enemy? What if we've been treating it like a house fire when it's actually just a faulty smoke detector? So here's the core idea. Your anxiety isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature. Think of it as this ancient, built-in smoke detector that was designed to warn our ancestors about, actual saber-toothed tigers. Super helpful back then. The problem is, in our modern world, that system is just way too sensitive. It starts screaming fire for job interviews, first dates, or even just for burning a piece of toast. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When the smoke alarm goes off from a little kitchen smoke, you don't grab a baseball bat and smash it off the ceiling. Of course not. You wave a towel at it, you open a window, and you get on with making breakfast. You acknowledge the alarm, but you don't let it ruin your whole day. This shows us the totally backward truth. Fighting the alarm is the real problem. Okay, so if we go back to that tug of war and pulling harder just digs you deeper into the mud, what's the only real move you have left? You have to let go. You have to drop the rope. That's the surprising counterintuitive path to real freedom. But look, this is so important. Dropping the rope is not the same as giving up. That's resignation. That's just throwing your hands up and saying, oh well, this is just how I am. And that just keeps you stuck. Acceptance is something else entirely. It's active, it's a choice. It's looking right at the anxiety and saying, okay, you're here, I feel you, so what do I want to do next? It doesn't stop action, it redirects it. So this all sounds good, but how do we actually do it in the real world? Well, let's look at a simple, powerful trick. It's like a little neuroscience hack you can use the moment you feel that anxious wave start to hit. The phrase couldn't be simpler, and it's from Dr. Dan Siegel. Name it to tame it. Seriously, that's it. Just the simple act of putting a label on the feeling, just saying to yourself, this is anxiety. It has this profound, almost instant effect on your brain's chemistry. And this isn't some self-help fluff. There's real science to back this up. A neuroscientist, Matthew Lieberman, discovered that when we put words to our feelings, we activate the thinking part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex. And that part of the brain acts like a sound engineer in a studio. It literally reaches over and turns down the volume on the amygdala, which is the brain's fear center. It's a biological switch. So before you know this trick, you just get completely fused with your thoughts. A thought like, I'm going to fall apart, doesn't feel like a passing thought. It feels like an undeniable fact. You don't just have the thought, you become the thought. But here, this is the aha moment. This is the whole game. By adding that one simple phrase at the beginning, I notice I'm having the thought that, you fundamentally change everything. You create a little pocket of space. You go from being caught in the storm to watching the storm from a safe distance. You're no longer the thought. You are the observer of the thought. This is such a powerful way to think about it. All your thoughts, your feelings, your anxiety, they're just the weather. Sometimes it's stormy, sometimes it's sunny. But here's the key, you are not the weather. You are the sky. Storms always pass, but the sky always remains. That feeling of anxiety can't actually damage the essential you that's just watching it all happen. All right, so let's tie all this together. Let's make it super practical. Here is a simple 60-second practice you can use anywhere, anytime, the moment you need it. Okay, here it is. 3 simple steps. First, the moment you feel it rising, just pause. This is critical. It interrupts that automatic knee-jerk reaction. Second, name it. Without any judgment, just label what's happening. This is anxiety. I'm noticing my chest is tight. This is what turns on your thinking brain and creates that distance. And third, choose. Ask yourself that powerful question. Okay, given that this feeling is here, what do I want to do next that actually matters to me? And that is the real goal here. This isn't about finding some magic cure to get rid of anxiety forever. It's about leaving the battlefield. It's about getting on with your life, even if anxiety decides to come along for the ride. The goal isn't a life without anxiety, it's a life where anxiety no longer gets to be the one in charge. You've dropped the rope, you've stepped off the battlefield, so the only question that's left is, with all that energy you're no longer wasting on that pointless tug of war, what are you gonna do next? All right, that's a wrap for this episode. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs it. This is Smiling Cottage. See you next time.